Hello, I'm W.P. Suazo, and I'm here to talk about unemployment definitions. Forgive my shorthand, I have 5 groups, and then I have 2 comparisons done by division. The first one is the 16 plus population, to be 16 or older. The Bureau of Labor Statistics counts you. LF, labor force, employed, out of the labor force, unemployed. And then we have the percent participation and the percent unemployed. Now, without this becoming too messy, the 16 plus population is composed of the labor force and those who are out of the labor force. So we have that right there. The labor force is composed of the employed plus the unemployed. Percent participation is the labor force over the 16 plus population. And finally, the percent unemployed is the labor force under the unemployed. I hope this doesn't look like a plate of spaghetti or a Subway map. Okay, so you can solve for all of these. You can solve for all 7 so long as you're given a unique 3. And what I mean by unique is often the information can be redundant. So if you look at this right here, 16 plus population. If you're given 3 pieces of information, the 16 plus population, the labor force, and those out of the labor force, those 3 pieces are redundant. Because once you know the 16 plus population and labor force, you can infer what out of the labor force is. Or if you're given out of the labor force and labor force, you can add those up to get 16 plus. If we follow the other arrows, if you're given the labor force, the employed, and the unemployed, redundant information again. Because once you have the labor force given with the employed, you know what the unemployed is by taking the employed from the labor force. So I have some examples here. If the labor force is 100, let's say we have 100,000 persons in the labor force, and the unemployed persons are 5. And the third piece of information is the percent participation is 0.5. Oh, what a time to have a lesson on decimals. Okay, that's 5, and that right there is 50%. Yes, 0.5 is 50%. Okay, the first thing we know here is this. If of the labor force of 100, 5 are unemployed, then we know 95 are employed. I repeat, if labor force is 100, from that 5 leaves us with employed of 95. Okay. And we are told that, to follow these arrows, the participation rate, the labor force is half of the 16 plus population. So, the participation rate, the labor force is half of the 16 plus population. So, the 16 plus population has to be 200,000. So, if we have 200,000 and 100,000 of them busy about work, so the labor force is people who are busy about work. Either you're busy holding down a job, you're busy hunting for a job and you're available to take one, or you're both. You can be busy looking for another job as you work a current job. So, If we have 200,000 and 16 plus population, 100,000 busy about work, we have another 100,000 that are out of the labor force. Who is out of the labor force? Homemakers, the retired, the disabled. Okay, finally, we have to find the unemployed. So the unemployed is defined as the labor force of 100, and I will do this organically, so to speak, over the unemployed, which was given as 5. So now we know the unemployment rate is 5%. That is 5%, 0.05. 50% is 0.5. Okay, I hope you have your engine warmed up. Here comes another one. The next one gives us the employed of 180. So we have the employed of 180. And what I will do is I will put in boxes what we started with. So last time we were given the labor force of 100. We were given the employed of 5. And we were given the percent participation of 50%. So here we're being given employed 180, 16 plus population 300, and the percent unemployment at 10%. And 10% is written that way. Okay, so the employed is 180. The unemployment percent is 0.1. So if the unemployment percent is 0.1, we know this employed constitutes 90% of the labor force. 90% of the labor force. So here's what we know. We know that the labor force is 180 over 0.9. (180 over 0.9). If we keep on looking, and that works out to be some quick math. Boo me if you must for using my calculator. Okay, so we have 180 divided by 0.9, which works out to be 200,000. Okay, good. So what is 200,000 in the labor force? So if the labor force is 200,000 and the employed is 180, then we know the unemployed is 20. 20 plus 180 equaling 200,000. Oh, labor force of 200,000 plus 100,000 gives us 16 plus population of 300,000. All right, percent participation. So if the labor force is 200,000 and the adult 16 plus population is 300,000, we have a participation rate of 0.66666666. So I'll abbreviate it as 0.67. Finally, what is our unemployment rate? Well, we know what it is because it's given. It's 10%. Let's see if that checks out. Is 20 10% of 200? Yes, indeed. Okay, I don't want this board to fall over. All right, we're coming down the home stretch. And our last example is a 16 plus population of 400,000. The unemployed of 9, so we have an unemployed pool of 9, and we have the percent participation at 0.75. All right. $400,000 in the adult 16 plus population. 75% of those are in the labor force. 75% of 400,000 give us 300,000. So we have 300,000 busy looking for work or working, and 9 of them are busy looking for work. Hence, the employed will be 291,000. So, with this being the last example with all this room, I could show you where these numbers come from. So, 300,000 is going to be 400,000 times 0.75. 291 is going to be 300 minus 9. I hope that's clear. And now we have out of the labor force. Well, out of the labor force is going to be 100,000. And that's going to be 400 minus 300. I say 1,000 because unless this is a very small town, this is usually a county or a city with 100,000. Okay, so 400, 300, 291, 100, that's 9, that's 0.75. What is the unemployment rate? Well, the labor force is 300. And the unemployed number 9. So there we have an unemployment rate. It looks like it says 9/3. Looks like it says 9/3. All right. Well, I could tell you 9/3 would be about 3%. Yes, 9/3 would be about 3%. And 3% works out to be that. I have the calculator right here. 9 divided by 300 is right, 3%. So to recap, we were given the 16 plus adult population as 400, the unemployed numbering 9, and the participation rate being 0.75. The first thing we said is if 75% of the adult population is participating, 400 times 0.75 gives us a labor force of 300. A labor force of 300, taking out the unemployed of 9, leaves us with the employed of 291. If of the adult population of 400, 300 in the labor force, 100 are out of the labor force. And if we know the unemployed of 9 and the labor force of 300, 9 over 300 is the unemployed. I hope this has worked out well for you, and thanks for watching.